Oh my God, the response has been insane. It's literally been like, 3 hours since I got off this interview. And this has been one of the biggest responses I've ever received. Over 1,000 direct messages in just a few hours. I reached out to my friend Alex, who did the interview with me, asked him for the footage. I knew you guys on YouTube would get a lot of benefit from the wisdom that I shared on this thing. Definitely one of the best interviews I've ever experienced. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. I hope you guys get a lot out of it.
Without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about Cody before we actually bring him on. Cody is a real estate investor. He's an author, entrepreneur, and mentor who has personally purchased over 1,000 properties. And he's helped his students from all over the country flip thousands more. So he's the CEO of Clever Investor. And Clever Investor, I love this. Let me read this to you. Clever Investor believes that the world is a better place when it has more people working for themselves, following their dreams, and living to their fullest potential. Don't you love that? That's what we're all about. So I get really excited to talk to Cody because we share those values. That's what we're working for you. So no one better to talk about that than Cody. He is a true real estate investor. He wasn't always where he is today. Cody actually had a slow start in real estate. He struggled like everyone else and almost quit. And I'm sure some of you joining us today may be in that position right now. So you want to hear from him. Today, after 14 years in the business, he's done over 200 million in deals. So this guy has seen a thing or two. I think you have something to learn from him. I wanted to talk to Cody today because he is the best at combining hard strategy and creating processes and marrying that to the right mindset that will lead you to success and to accelerate the growth of your business. So I'm super excited to talk to him. Start sending us your questions. Cody, can you hear us okay? Thank you for joining us. Say hi to everyone.
First off, thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. You know, we've been working together, you know, kind of behind the scenes for a while now. And it's really cool to kind of step out front and get to know some of your community members here on social better. And whether you're watching this live as we go through this, and I hope you do ask a lot of great questions. You know, I'm here to serve you guys. I've been in real estate for a little over 14 years now. And it's crazy. Time has flown. I mean, it's been a wild ride. You know, it didn't start off all that great. If you'd like, I can share a little bit of that initial evolution because I think it's relatable to a lot of people. But you know, I'm excited to be here because over the last 14 years, I've discovered some really great truths about what it takes to be successful in this business. I've done every type of deal under the sun, all the way from, you know, single family wholesale deals, multifamily wholesale deals, all the way up to a massive rehabbing business. I'm actually focused on rehabbing a lot right now in wholesaling, but mainly rehabbing, and own commercial buildings. I've built a nice little portfolio, lots of income streams, and I've screwed a lot of stuff up, to be honest with you, you know, over the years. I'm one of those guys that has a bounce back spirit, you know, and I think you need to have that in this business because, man, they're always moving your freaking cheese on you. Every time you turn around, like I dominate a lead gen strategy, or I get really heavy into a certain, you know, investing strategy, and, you know, it runs its course after a year or whatever. And then you have to kind of be nimble and reshift and change processes. And so I've been through the upswing when the market blew up and was going crazy. I rode it all the way down. I didn't get hurt the way down. I was very smart about how I was getting out in front of the wave. I saw it coming. There's another wave coming right now. We could talk about that, but I rode it all the way down. I made tens of millions of dollars the whole way down. I love a down market. You know, I love an up market. I love a sideways market. You know, there's strategies for each market cycle. And so learned a lot on the way down with distressed property investing. And then I was down at the foreclosure auctions, short sales, REOs, all that stuff. We were dominating here in Arizona, which, by the way, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And, you know, now the market rode back up and we were kicking butt on the way up, and the market shift is happening again. And it's interesting what we're seeing. Real estate is a future-proof business, right? Taxi drivers, they're not future-proof. Uber drivers, they're not even future-proof. The reality is there's going to be driverless cars in 10 years. And there's going to be a lot of people out of business. But real estate is future-proof. Everybody needs a place to live. Everybody needs some help buying and selling houses. And the reality is, even if cars are flying, they're going to park those cars in a garage. So when you think about real estate, it's such a beautiful industry to be in. And there's a lot of ways to make money right now. And I see a lot of people jumping from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle, trying to figure out where to spend their time. But all roads lead back to real estate. Even if you're dominating in Shopify or you're dominating on drop shipping in Amazon or something like that, you're kicking butt on YouTube and you're selling t-shirts or whatever you're doing on social media. Once you make a lot of money, almost everybody parks it back in real estate. Not even the stock market can touch real estate. And people have made a lot of money in the stock market. But real estate's tangible. It's real. It's real estate. It's real. You could physically touch it. And so I love real estate. I think that every person, whether you're full-time or you're part-time and you just do this as a side hustle, should learn the language of real estate, should understand how the numbers and the financials of real estate work. You guys provide such an amazing service. Not only do you educate people, but you give them access to deals that they can't find anywhere else. You know, and that's a huge thing for investors to know where to go to get deals and get that support that they need to be able to maximize profits on those deals. And so as the market shifts, nimble investors that are in the know, all they do is change the tools that they're currently using in their tool belt and go to a different tool, and they keep going. And that's why I love real estate, and that's why I'm excited to be here and, you know, share some of my wisdom with you guys, in the hopes that you grab at least a small part of it and you run with it and you make a lot of money and you increase your capabilities and live the life that I believe that you truly deserve. Because I know a lot of people that are struggling right now. They're not happy with their jobs. They feel very stuck. They feel like they're wasting time. They feel like they're on a treadmill, like they're living this average day to day. Every day is the same as the last, if not worse. And they know there's a next level of life. They just don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, let's have this conversation, because I hope that I can inspire somebody to make that choice as they roll into 2019. They have an opportunity to make this the best year of their life. And it could start right now. You don't have to wait for a New Year's resolution. It could start this second. And so right. My hope at the end of this conversation is that you leave here inspired and focused and intense on what you want to accomplish, and we can help you get there.
I love that. All right, that was a great intro, Cody. And for everyone joining us, we're here with Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor. Just now, Cody touched on many things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about flipping. We're going to be talking about up and down markets and market trends and strategies to lead to your success. And I see you guys coming in. Hey, Allison. Hey, Carlos. Carlos just joined saying, Cody, he got your Fast Track 2.0 and he loves it. So, Carlos, thank you for the love. I appreciate that. Felipe is with us. We have a bunch of people joining. Guys, start sending us your questions. Hey, Krish. Cody, I actually want to touch on something that you just talked about that I think is so important. So, you know, as part of the My House Deals community, we have a wide range of investors. We have guys who are doing this every day, all day long, and this is really their career. And we also have a group of investors who are just getting started, right? They're excited about real estate, but they haven't necessarily made the first deal happen yet. And I always say the first deal is the hardest deal. And when you go through that deal, then you've done it. You can apply what you did to the next deal, and you can perfect it and grow from there. But the first one can be really tough, and we have a lot of people who give up before their first deal, right? So you touched on mindset just now, which is so important. You said, I wasn't always successful. I struggled in the beginning, but I didn't stay down. I kept going. Can you talk to us a little bit about what it took for you to keep going, and what powered you at that point to say, all right, maybe things didn't work out the way I planned in the beginning, but I see the light and I'm going to keep going towards it?
Sure. Like everybody who gets into real estate, I got into it for the money. That was the first thing that turned me on. The people in my local area that were making the most money, that drove the fancy cars. I used to live in Mesa, Arizona. There's a guy here. His name is Michael Polak, huge commercial investor. I didn't understand the difference between commercial and residential, but when I was a kid, we didn't have a lot of money. I grew up in the hood. Like, I was the only white guy in my neighborhood. Everybody else was Hispanic or African American, and I didn't know we didn't have money. I just was a kid, and my parents, a great relationship with my parents, but we just didn't have a lot. And so I couldn't even afford a bike. And the one time my parents bought me a bike for Christmas, it got stolen, so it's like, I lived in that neighborhood, and I would walk to school every single day. And I was going to junior high at the time, and I would pass this building, and the building, it said Michael Polak Investments on it. And then it would say real estate investments. And it was the biggest building in the area. The guy had this massive RV that he would drive around, and he would do deals out of his RV. In every street corner up and down my streets, he owned every corner, all the shopping centers, everything. And it would say Polak Investments, Polak, corner, Polak, whatever the name, he named that corner. And you can look him up. He's legendary around here. So anyway, every Christmas he would deck the building out with lights, and he was like the big dog in town. And so I would see this guy, and I would see the articles and stuff, because I tried to do some research on him. And back then we didn't have this is like pre-Google and all that stuff. And so articles that we would get in the newspaper would highlight this guy, doing all the charity work in town. He was just a big deal. So I always I saw the Donald Trumps, read the books, that kind of stuff. And I always was inspired by this concept of making money in real estate. So anyway, that planted the seed. Once I got excited about it, as I was coming out of the Navy, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be either a marine biologist or a history teacher. That's what my dream was when I was a kid. I'm going to be a history teacher or marine biologist. And when I was coming out of the Navy, I got seasick every time I hit the water. And coming from Arizona, when I joined the Navy, I didn't even know I was going to be seasick. And so
that's tough for a sailor, huh?
I'll tell you, you can buy me a beer sometime. I'll tell you the story of how I threw up all over the commanding officer's shoes the first time I ever was on a boat. Anyways, moving on. So I'm seasick, so marine biology out the window. So I'm like, okay, I loved it, this idea of teaching. I have it in my soul to teach, and history was something that I was really excited about. For whatever reason, I would fall asleep and hate math books and all that other stuff, but history, it clicked with me. And so I went and talked to a history professor at San Diego State University when I was getting out of the Navy, and I said, hey, how much do you make? And the guy said, not enough. And I left that meeting thinking, dang, we don't pay our teachers nearly enough. And two, that's not a life. I'm not going to survive with the life that I actually want for myself. And when I was in the Navy, I really grew up. Going in the Navy was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I left that tough neighborhood and I manned up. I grew up, I traveled the world. I realized that here in America, we are pretty freaking lucky. I went to 30 countries with the Navy, and I'm looking around going, man, I'm being a big baby whining about every little tiny thing. And these people, I was sitting on the pier. We couldn't even get off the ship. We were in Pakistan. And I watched the guard of the pier smack his wife in the face for bringing him the wrong lunch. I was sitting up on the ship looking down. It was so dangerous, we couldn't even get off the boat. We were just there to refuel. and she was dressed in full garb, couldn't even show her eyes, and he hauled off in I was mortified. I was like, this is insanity what's happening in the rest of the world. And so I grew a love for the opportunities we have back at home. I realized how special of a place we were in, and that I needed to really do something with my life. And I also fell in love with systems when I was in the Navy. They have a system for everything. Shine your shoes. There's a 20-step documented process for it. Make your bed, polish the brass, clean the, and I was in navigation. So it was like, you want to update the charts so you don't run into things when you're, floating around. And so 25, 30-step process. And so I fell in love with this structure. But when you get out of the Navy, you lose it. It's almost like getting out of jail. They punch a hole in your card and you walk out of the gates and they're like, don't come back. See ya. and you lose that. And so when I went and talked to the history professor, and I was like, man, what am I going to do with my life? So I did what most people do. I went and talked to my dad. And I said, Dad, what should I do with my life? And he said, I think you should go to school for finance because it's the language of business. And you should take a lot of classes in accounting. And I'm like, Dad, I got C's and D's in school. I smoked weed and ditched class. Like, I'm not that guy. Like, how am I going to do finance? Like, I can't add without a calculator or my fingers. And he's like, I promise you, if you just power through it, it'll be good for you in the long run. It'll at least teach you the language of business. And if you don't know what an asset and a liability is, and my dad wasn't wealthy, but he was smart enough to want me to be better than him. And so I said reluctantly, okay. And the Navy was paying for my college. So I went to ASU. I actually went to community college first. I didn't even get an ASU. I went to community college and then transferred to ASU, but I went after my degree in finance and I was emphasizing in accounting and I hated every second of it. My dad was like, get a good job afterwards, work your way up the corporate ladder. Like, he was very still structured in the traditional thoughts of what you should do with your life. Did not want me to take any risks. Just go to school, get good grades, and go get a corporate job. And I got really freaking lucky because I had a friend named Jeremy who invited me to lunch, and he was so excited. And I used to party with him, and we would get drunk and party, and like, he was just a buddy. Mm-hmm. And he ended up inviting me to lunch, all excited to tell me something. I show up, and this guy's driving a brand new Mercedes. And I'm like, dude, what gives? And he's like, dude, I flipped a house and I made $80,000 and I didn't put any money into the deal. It was so awesome. I'm going to do it again and again. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this didn't even make sense. And he literally got out a napkin and penciled out wholesaling on a napkin and was like, I have a friend. He's a mortgage broker. He taught me how to do this. He took these classes, and it's this process called wholesaling, and this is how it works. And I thought you needed money. I thought you needed a real estate license. I thought you needed good credit. I thought all these things, connections, experience. And so I left like this. Like, this can't be real. That has to be a scam. This doesn't make this, like, my logical brain was like, this is so ridiculous. He got lucky. Yeah. He'll never do it again. All the things that normal people do. But I had that napkin. Yeah. And over the next week or two, I started like, maybe I should look into this. And so that's actually how I got turned back on. Yeah, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and some other book. Like, it was that chance meeting where I was bitten by the creative real estate bug. And I started going down the rabbit hole. I did what everybody does. I binged on everything. And back then, no YouTube. Google was just like, coming together. There wasn't a lot of websites and things. People were still using fax machines. This was 14 plus years ago. So I'm lucky because I'm here in Arizona, and Arizona was a hotbed for real estate activity. And so I was able to get plugged into the local meetups and the RIA groups and some other things. And at the time, everybody was door knocking foreclosures. That was like the big thing back in 2004. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll try that, but I got to learn. And so I went to every seminar, every workshop that there was. And that's how we learned. Like, there wasn't videos like this. You would go to a workshop, and I went to every single one, and I bought every single course, and I had no money. And I went cha-ching, swipe, 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 buy. They loved me. They saw me come. As soon as I walked in, I was like, credit card in my hand, like, let's go, baby. Because once I realized there's this whole world that I didn't even know existed, and I'm visualizing me, screw Michael Pollack investments, Cody Sperber Investments up on a building. Like I pictured the future, and I was like, man, this is my ticket to wealth.
Yeah.
And so I was visualizing what life was going to be like. And I laid all these courses. I bought Al Lowry's, I bought Carlton Sheets, I bought everything, all the old school gurus, like everybody. Laid them all out on a table, and they were binders full of materials. And I would go, oh, page 1 told you to do this. I would go try that. Then what's next? And page 2, then page 80, then page 90. And I would go through these books of binders and try to do this stuff. 1 month, turn to 3 months, turn to 6 months, turn to 9 months. And all that youthful enthusiasm I had, all my self-limiting beliefs, the fact that I looked super young, the fact that I didn't have any money, I didn't have any experience, my credit was non-existent, I didn't have a life, like all my preconceived self-limiting beliefs started boiling up, and that youthful enthusiasm started going away. And now I'm finding myself, because in the beginning I was telling everybody, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do this. And now people are sitting me down saying, this isn't working. I told you this wouldn't work. Maybe you're too young to start a business. You should just focus on school. My parents sat me down and said, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. You should not be doing this. Stay focused, get a job, work your way up. Then when you make money, you can invest in real estate. And I would, in the beginning, defend myself, but over time, it got harder and harder to do that. And at the 9-month mark, I was so mentally tired, and I tried all these. I was the guy that jumped from concept to concept. I would go to a RIA meeting, and they would say, "Oh, that's why you're not getting success. You got to try this." Oh, okay. And then I would try that for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'd go, "This doesn't freaking work. F that strategy. That person's crazy." And then I hear somebody else. "Oh, I'm making money over here." Oh, and then I pivot and I try that, and I was the professional dabbler for 9 months straight, because I didn't know. I didn't know that the formula for success is real simple. It's knowledge, specialized knowledge, plus focused, intense activity for a consistent period of time. And so every time I would do it for 2-3 weeks and it didn't work, or I didn't get the results, I would go, screw this, and jump to another vehicle. You're never going to get to where you want to be if you keep doing that. But I didn't know at the time, because I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anybody teach me. I was hard-headed. I thought that I could figure it out on my own. I thought, I spent all this money on these courses. I'm going to figure this out. I'm already in college, so I might as well I'm a student, so I might as well do this on my own. And I was scared to cut a check to hire somebody at the time, because I already spent all this money on learning, flying all over the place. So 9 months, I quit. And it was the first day when I quit, I was angry. And so it wasn't that bad. The week after I quit, it was like my soul was crushed. It was like, you suck. You're a loser. You're a settler. You're never going to be anything in your life. Everybody else is right. Go be a teacher. That's it. And I went and I put out resumes because I was so broke. I had to survive, but my lights were going to get shut off. And I was like, shit, I'm running out of money and options. So I put out resumes. And at the time, I didn't know what to do, but I was taking these accounting classes. So I put out resumes everywhere. And this one guy who happened to be a real estate developer said, I'll hire you to be my bookkeeper. Well, I lied on the resume. I told him I knew how to do books. I never done books. I didn't know anything about books. I didn't know what a book was, barely. I took some accounting classes, and I wasn't even doing that good in them. But I needed a job. And so I show up the night before. I start reading. I went to the bookstore. I got Bookkeeping for Dummies. And I read the whole thing the night before.
The day before you start the job.
Oh my God. I show up. He's like, can you do this? I'm like, yep. As soon as he left the office, I'm like, oh, shit, I'm screwed. So anyway, for 3 months, I taught myself books, right? And I believe that if you need to do something to survive, you'll figure it out, right? Like, ask a drug addict where they could be dead broke, homeless, addicted to drugs, and they will find a way to buy them.
That's right.
That's intent. That's intensity. That's necessity, right? And when people make excuses, it's like, yeah, right. Go talk to the guy who's addicted to drugs that just freaking made $100 magically happen like that, right? And so I was that guy mentally. I was like, I have to survive. I have to make this happen. And so I taught myself books, and I'm watching the money come in and out of this guy's books. I'm watching him go fly a dude from Japan over from Japan to the office to suit him up, a tailor. He's bought a new Mercedes. He bought the new Hummer at the time. I'm just watching this guy's lifestyle, and I'm running his books, and I'm getting madder and madder because I'm like, what is this jerk who wasn't even nice to people that worked for him, that treated everybody below him, making a freaking killing, have that I don't have? What did he get that I just didn't understand? How did I fail? I feel like I'm smart enough to figure this out. And so now I'm getting pissed again. And right around this time, a couple of things in life happened. And I believe that life prepares you for the next level. And you don't feel it or understand it at the time because you're just in the forest. But all that preparation, all that learning, all that experience of what didn't work was preparing me for this moment where my friend Zach came to me and said, hey, I can tell your soul isn't happy. You're not a happy person anymore. You get mad at the littlest things. You're always on edge. What happened to the fun Cody? What happened to the guy I used to love to hang around? And he was like, listen, I'm going to San Francisco to go to this real estate event. And I know you probably are going to say no, but I would love for you to come. And he actually went to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and convinced her to help him convince me to go to this event. And so now they're both chirping at me. You got to go. You got to go. And what sold me, because I was so bitter about that experience I had, what convinced me is he just finally sat down and over a beer, he said, listen, man, it's a trip with your best friend. Think of it like that. It's nothing more. Like, don't worry about what happens. Just come with me and hang out and we'll go see the city. So I reluctantly went. And when I went to this event, I didn't know what to expect, but I walk into this ballroom and up at the front was a old timer. His name was Jack Miller. Jack passed away a few years ago. Jack Miller's up at the front and he's telling the greatest, most engaging war stories about deal making. And he called it transactional engineering. And he's up there and talking about all the different ways he created income streams. And there's 350 people in the crowd. And they're all frantically taking notes. They're just like, and I'm watching, and I'm like, I bought a course off of that guy. And oh my God, there's a guy on the infomercial over there. And I bought a course off of him. And I went to his seminar and they're all studying Jack. And I'm just like, who is this guy? And I could instantly feel the difference when I was in that environment. And I believe that environment is extremely important to success. And I walked in there and I felt the realness. And I got instantly kind of like, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. Maybe this is something different. Maybe this is the moment. And I went to lunch during the break. And while I was at lunch, I was standing at the bar. I was trying to order some food. And there's this old guy sitting at the bar. He's got this wrinkly this wrinkly polo shirt. And it's like all like, you could tell like the ones where they like curl up and like, you can tell he just got it out of the dryer, and it's old and it's faded and it's tucked into Adidas sweatpants that are pulled up to like his belly button. And he's wearing these like big old man shoes. And I'm just like looking at this old guy. He's got crazy hair. And I'm like, what's your story, dude? And so we start talking. Come to find out, he's been following Jack Miller for like 25 years. His name is Lyle, and he was part of the insider group of the Miller crew. This guy lives in Colorado part-time and then had a winter home in Arizona, which is where I'm from. And so we're talking, and he's telling me things that I've never heard before, things that you can't learn in books, real world gangster real estate stuff. And I'm like, who are you, man? Like, how did you figure this out? He's got I don't want to say the amount, but let's just say it is tens of millions of dollars in a self-directed Roth, all tax-free. And I'm listening to him, and he's like, I can help you. You're that young guy that I see myself back when I was doing the hustle, and you're stuck right now, and I can help you. I can help you break free. I can show you what you need to know. And it was right then and there that I hired Lyle to be my mentor. And I was scared to freaking death. I didn't know where it was going to lead, but I knew that if this guy really paid attention to me and made me a priority, that I could figure this out. And that was the moment that I literally came back. I wrote down on my goal list, within the next 60 days, I'm quitting that freaking job. Like, this is, I'm out. I'm going to go do my own thing, and I'm going to be the guy that I know I can become. And I worked my butt off, and Lyle worked really hard with me and got me back on track, showed me exactly what things I should be focusing on, and more importantly, what things I shouldn't be focusing on, and got me zeroed in on some targets and focused me on breakthroughs. I was so focused in the beginning on getting a deal, and I was coming from a desperate place to get a deal. Where I wasn't focusing on was these milestones, these breakthroughs, in order to constantly get deals, right? And so he shifted me. Is your business set up the right way? Are you creating the right relationships? Are you generating the right types of leads? Are you focused on the right strategy? Do you know how to analyze deals? Do you know the difference between a deal and a dud? Do you know how to ask the right questions to pull the right information out of people? Are you mastering the art of influence? Are you positioning correctly for the future negotiation? Are you finding the hidden profit centers within a deal? Are you writing and creating the offer the right way, right? To give the seller the aha, yes, this is a great opportunity for me moment. Are you structuring the financing the right way? Is your paperwork done the right way to protect you from legal issues, right? All of these little milestones that I was like kind of doing, but not really focused on doing, he just focused me on these breakthroughs. And he allowed me to discover my way of discovering the truth. It wasn't somebody just talking to me. And I think there's a lot of different ways people learn, but when you are just talked to, like it lectured at, you're going to retain like this much of it. It's not going to internalize and become real. So he put me through these different exercises where I could discover the truth. And that's what got me out the other end. And when I was able to do a couple little deals, but when I cracked my first big deal, it was for over $40,000. Now at the time, I'm making like $36,000 or $37,000 as a bookkeeper. I forget how much I was making, but it was less than 40. And at the time, life had a couple things happen to me. One, my parents were going through a hard time, and I love my parents more than anything. My dad's my hero. He's the best role model I've ever had in my life. He's been the greatest cheerleader for me. Even when he was telling me not to do things, secretly, I knew he wanted me to live that life. And so they were going through a hard time, and I was not making enough money to even help them, which sucks when you love somebody and you can't help them. At the same time, I have this girlfriend who has been super supportive through all this journey. It's now been over a year pretty much. And she was way out of my league. She was so hot. And I got her not because of my looks. I got her because of my humor. And when I was going through that period where I lost my fun because I was in this toxic negative space, she always just kept reminding me to help me get that back. And I knew I wanted to give her the life she deserved, and I wanted to put a ring on her finger. And so I was really gunning to get this beautiful diamond ring, but it was so far. I took her shopping. I said, pick which one you want. And the one she wanted was expensive. And I was like, oh my God, I don't even know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to create the way. And so I had my eye on that prize. I wanted to quit my job so desperately. And so all these things were lining up. And when I closed that first big deal, and it was a hard deal, like without Lyle's help, I don't know if I would have done it. But it was a divorce, a bankruptcy, and a foreclosure all rolled up in one. It was a triple threat.
Oh, wow.
And I closed and I made a little over $40,000 on that deal. It was a wholesale deal, and I made over 40K, which is huge for a wholesale deal like that. My normal wholesale fee right now is like 11 to 12,500, and I made over 40K. And I'm staring at this check, and I'm about to go in the bank and cash it. And that's the moment it all became real for me. I went from hope to believing. Like, I knew that I could do this over and over again. I knew that I was building the skills and the capabilities that were going to carry me into this world that I only dreamed about. You know, that my name on a building, which, by the way, I own 18,000 square foot building that I'm in right now, I could feel it now. It was like, holy moly, this is going to happen. I didn't know how long it would take, but I didn't care. I was on the path. And so a lot of things happen when your belief system changes. And it's kind of the way I teach my students now is anybody who knows the Roger Bannister story understands that for thousands and thousands of years, people tried to run the fastest mile they could. And nobody's ever broke a 4-minute mile until Roger Bannister. And when he did that, the belief system changed for a lot of other athletes. 6 weeks later, John Landy from Australia also ran a 4-minute mile. Up at this point, thousands of people, even people in college, have run a 4-minute mile. But for thousands of years, it never happened. Then the belief system changed. That it was before that, everybody said it's not possible. The human body can't adhere to that much pain and pressures, and everything would have to be perfect. The weather would have to be perfect. The clay that they ran on would have to be a certain hardness. There could be 0 wind speed. Like, everything perfectly would have to line up in order for a human to run a 4-minute mile. Bullshit. That's not true. We proved it, right? And there's been a lot of moments like this in history where people have proven when they get intensely focused on a goal and it's their will, and they want it bad enough, and there's a strong enough connected why to why they want to do it bad enough, and it happens because of that intensity. Other people see that and go, okay,
it's possible.
It's possible. I'm gonna beat his damn time. He ain't gonna beat me. And so think about that for a second. I'm holding that check, and I want that moment for you guys. That's why I'm here, because I hope this inspires you that there will be a moment if you stay focused and you stay plugged into a community like My House Deals. You're going to have that aha moment, that breakthrough moment where it finally all comes together. It won't happen if you quit. It won't happen if you allow toxic, negative people to surround you and influence your behavior. If your environment is the wrong environment, it's not going to happen for you. If you're the guy or gal jumping from vehicle to vehicle, it's not going to happen for you. If you're so sensitive with your ego that you're scared what your friends on social media think about your intensity, it's not going to happen for you. There's a mix between kind of being a little bit of an egomaniac, right? An ego, like you got to have a little bit of that, like this, I deserve this. Like this is happening for me. I don't care what you say. This is happening right now. Okay. You got to have a little bit of that with the specialized knowledge. And then when your own gas runs out of your tank, you need somebody from the My House Deals community or somebody like me to come in and give you that external motivation, that external clarity, that external focus. Because you've taken yourself as far as you can take you up to this point. And congratulations, you got here, right? You made it to this far. But if you want more joy, more control, if you believe that there is a next level, then sometimes the Lyle of the world, Cody Sperber of the world, they have to show up and give you that clarity and that push and that specialized knowledge and hold you accountable. And so after that, dude, game on. 40,000, walk in, I quit. Had my Jerry Maguire moment. Who's coming with me? Nobody came with me. I'm like, screw you guys, I'm out. Right? And I went and I started my business. And I was sitting in my kitchen and I look at my girlfriend. And I said, hey, what should I call my business? She said, I don't know. You're pretty clever.
All
You'll come
right.
up with
I
something.
think we're having some technical issues. Can you guys comment if you can still see and hear me? I think we lost Cody.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, I lost Cody. Looks like he's still with you guys. So
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you are. This is live, guys. Everything blacked out for me. So,
What was the
okay.
last thing you heard?
You quit. That's where I lost you.
Which part?
Well, you had your Jerry Maguire moment.
Oh, got it. Okay, so I had my Jerry Maguire moment. I said I quit. Nobody came with me. I was like, screw you guys, I'm going anyway. And I went home and I was sitting in my kitchen or in my girlfriend's kitchen. And I looked at her and I said, hey, I'm going to start like a company and it's going to be official. I'm going to do this full time now. I'm going to, I quit my job. By the way, I helped my parents out, which was the greatest feeling in the world. What she didn't know is I went and I bought a ring and I was about to propose, right? And so that was coming. And I said, hey, what do you think I should call my new company, my new investment firm? And she said, I don't know. You're clever. You'll come up with something. And that was the birth of Clever Investor. The rest is history, baby.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's an amazing story. And I want to highlight here what Cody said for everyone who's joined us. We're talking to Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor. He just shared his origin story. And one thing he highlighted was, you have to stop chasing squirrels and focus and build a process and a system. And I love what you said, Cody, about going from chasing a deal to creating a structure and a system to grow from. That's so important. And, you had Jeremy, then you had Zachary, and then you had Lyle, and they kind of pushed you through this process and helped you really get going. And from what I hear you say, really, having the mentor was key to you actually getting out of that trough and being able to soar.
It's so vitally important.
Yeah, it really is. And we've partnered with Cody so much on the mentoring side for a lot of investors in the My House Deals community who are looking for a support system and looking for really a compass, is what I like to call. The mentor is going to point the way to you and help you map out the path for you to get there, and support you along the way. And we've had, some really inspiring stories coming out of the relationship that Cody has built with My House Deals investors in exactly doing that, helping them to figure that out. Because when you're first getting started, it's hard. Like it's like you figuring out accounting, right? Like it's all gibberish, and you feel like as a new investor is that, when you're new to something, you feel inadequate, right? You feel you're not confident. You feel like I'm not really sure if this is the right thing to do or the right thing to say, or and so you have a lot of question marks, and at the same time you feel like you have to master everything, right? Like I have to be good at everything so that I know how to answer every question, and that's what's going to make me a successful investor. And I think the role that mentors play a lot of times is, hey, no, you don't have to know everything. We have to define the right strategy for you, and you got to stick with that. And for the things that you don't know, let's build a support system around you that's going to fill in those knowledge gaps that you don't need to worry about, because there are better people out there who can handle that for you. So you pick the thing that you're good at and the thing that's going to get you to where you want to be, and you just focus on that obsessively, right? And that's how you get through that. I want to follow up on something that you said, Cody, and this is a question from Allison. When you went from being a professional dabbler, as you put it, to really committing to something. How did you choose the strategy that was right for you to commit to at that point? Because that's a question that a lot of our investors have, right? If I'm getting started, what should I focus on if I shouldn't be focused on everything?
Yeah, great question, Allison. Thanks for being here. For me, I think it was kind of easy because I knew from a high level I wanted to be an active real estate investor. And my goal was to get lots of quick cash coming into my world because I didn't have any and I needed money, right? And I wanted to not be stressed out about paying bills. I was the guy arguing with my bank teller to waive my overdraft fees. And I was holding up the line behind me and it was freaking embarrassing. So, you know, step one, get money. And so I gravitated towards active real estate, which means I had to pick a strategy: wholesaling, rehabbing, right? Were the two main active real estate strategies versus a passive strategy like being a landlord. And for me, I didn't feel confident rehabbing in the very beginning because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't have any connections with, you know, people that do like work, like contractors and subcontractors. And I didn't have any money, or credibility, or I didn't know people that were successful that had a lot of money. So it wasn't like I could just go and get money somewhere very easily. And then be able to afford to buy these and then rehab them and all that stuff. So in the beginning, it was kind of necessity that I focus on wholesaling. So that's what I did. I put all my focus on wholesaling, and I kind of made a commitment. I said, I'm going to wholesale for like 6 months to 1 year. I'm going to get as much cash coming into my life as possible. I'm going to build all the relationships that I need. And as I'm getting money in the door, I'm going to slowly start working on building relationships with the contractors and subcontractors and rehabbers that I'm selling deals to. And I'm going to try and learn as much as I can over the first year. And then when, you know, I'm a pretty, you know, analytical guy. So I said to myself, as soon as I feel confident enough to move over to rehabbing, I'll try to do that.
But rehabbing was always the end goal at that point. Wholesaling was kind of the stepping stone to get there.
It was my initial end goal. My real end goal, and this came from Lyle. He asked me a question that it kind of blew my mind because I was young and I was just getting in the business and I hadn't even done anything yet. And he said, Cody, let me ask you something. How many years do you want it to be before you quit real estate? And I went, dude, I'm just getting into this. Like, I just hired you. Like, what do you mean quit real estate? And he's like, think about this. You need to have the end in mind. When is that moment in time going to be where you can stop working if you want to? Like, I already see it in your eyes. Like, you're not that guy. You're going to work during retirement. Like, if you can, like whatever you're passionate about, you're going to go do. But if you wanted to make the choice to take off on a Tuesday and not come back for a month or a year, when's that moment in time going to be where you have the freedom to do that and you can fire yourself from real estate? And I said, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. And he said, great. 5 or 10 years from now, we got to build enough income coming into your world through either systems and other people handling the business, systems and automation, or you got to buy enough cash flowing real estate and build the wealth that way. And so I always knew the end goal was you have to use your wholesale profits and your rehabbing profits to build the wealth. So I focused in on wholesaling, and I love wholesaling because it's a fun business. Once you get the relationships going and the systems and processes, and you crack the code on marketing and you crack the code on influence and negotiation, those two pieces come together. And let's say on average you make $5,000 per wholesale transaction. You can start to see like, wow, it takes me on average 4 hours to 7 hours worth of actual hardcore work to get a single deal. If I make, let's just say I make my average is $12,500. That's like $1,785 an hour. I don't know what other job you could do. If I put in a solid 5 to 7 hours worth of work on a single wholesale deal, which is about what it takes for me to put out the marketing, take the phone calls, maybe go out and meet with the seller, put it under contract, market the property, get a buyer, go to the closing table, sign a check, or sign the documents, pick up my check. it's like 7 hours of actual work. That's like $1,785 an hour if you make $10,000. So it's like, you can't do that anywhere else. And so I focused on wholesaling, and my goal was to ramp up to like 5 to 10 wholesale deals a month. And then eventually, when I had that consistently going, then start cherry picking out the best deals to rehab for the bigger paydays. So that was my focus. One time I sold a house to a rehabber. I made $10,000. He made $110,000. And that was the day I finally got off the fence and said, next one, I'm doing it. Because that's insanity. You know how many wholesale deals I have to do to make $110,000? Like, I'm working my butt off. Wholesaling is a lot of work, by the way. It's not like once you start scaling, it's a ton of moving pieces, and it's an intense thing. You get paid a lot, but there's a lot of energy that does go into it. And so I finally started doing some rehabs, and then I got in a situation one time where the seller wanted to sell, but didn't have enough equity to sell at a discount, but had a great mortgage and was in a low price point where the rental market was very strong. And he said, well, dude, I would do anything to get rid of this house and not have to think about it ever again. And I said, well, let me talk to some of my team members and see if there's anything I can do. So I called up Lyle. I said, well, what do I do? And he said, well, take over the mortgage. You know, I'd step in, relieve the guy of his housing pain, and turn it into a rental. So I did my first subject to transaction that day, and now I have a rental. And I'm like, dude, this is cool. I didn't even have to go to a bank. And now I got $600 a month in positive cash flow, and I got it for a good price. And when the market goes up and it appreciates, or I pay down this mortgage, I'm creating wealth for myself. It already had like $30,000 of equity, maybe like $20,000 worth of equity built into it. So I'm already ahead. And it was in a hot rental area. So I had my first rental. And I was like, how many more times can I do this? So I started building a rental portfolio through creative acquisition strategies, knowing that I'm generating as many leads as I can for my business. My intention is to wholesale or cherry pick out the biggest home runs to rehab. And if something comes along my path that I want to keep for my portfolio, if I could get into it in a creative, very low money down way, then I was going to do that. And so my first 3 or 4 years, that's what I focused on. And eventually I got better, and I had enough money where I can go to a bank and put the 10 or 20% down to buy conventionally and get better loan terms. And then I also started having credibility. In the beginning, like if you want to raise private money, it's kind of scary because one, you feel like you're going around saying, can I borrow money? Right? Which is not what you're really doing when you're borrowing money. When you're raising private capital, you're offering somebody that has lazy money an opportunity to make a good return on their money. I had the mindset of I'm going to my friends and family begging for money.
Yeah.
And so I had that mental roadblock, and I don't have any credibility. So double whammy, like nobody's going to give me money. I look like I'm 15 years old. I have no credibility, and I'm begging for money. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But as I got more experience and I learned the language of real estate and I started building my confidence and I was able to get into a couple rehab deals, I built a credibility book. And all of a sudden it became a lot easier for me to go around and get the money I needed to ramp up my rehabbing business. And I've done over 1,000 wholesales and over 400 or 500 rehabs at this point. And I've used other people's money for almost all of them. In the beginning, my first few rehabs, I had to give away 90% of the profits. I wasn't even raising money. I was partnering with Lyle or other people that Lyle introduced me to, or connections I made at networking events. And they used my energy and my work to make a ton of money. And I would get this little sliver, but I didn't care because all I wanted to do was build the credibility. Right. And then once I had it, I didn't need to give away 90% of the profits. I flipped the script to, you're lucky to do a deal with me. I'm going to offer you this opportunity, and you better say yes or no within 10 minutes of me bringing it to you, because cash is king. And the only reason I get these deals at massive discounts is because I move fast. So you better move fast if you want to jump in on any of my deals. And I started getting the ability and the confidence to tell people how to do business with me. And that's how you scale your business and eventually go from just wholesaling to wholesaling and rehabbing and building wealth. Now I'm at a point where I don't wear how many deals that I do per day or per week or per month on my sleeve like I used to. In fact, I don't want to do the most deals in town. My students are doing I have a student right now here in Arizona that's doing 80 wholesale transactions a month.
Oh,
Average probably about $9,500 per wholesale fee. Run those numbers, right? Killing it. I'm like, good for you. I want to do one deal that's a bigger, better deal that makes the same amount of money, right? I've elevated my mindset. I don't wear the deals on my sleeve like I used to, but
right.
it took the building of all of this over time. I've been in it 14 years to be able to choose like that. Now, if I take off a week, a month, or 5 years, my life, my income does not change. In fact, I'll go up in wealth, right? Because I have the assets and the cash flow, and I've eventually parlayed my real estate money into 15 different businesses. You know, now I have, I'm diversified, which is cool. You know, that's like that's the next level, and my money is now working for me.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I think here's the tip for everyone with us. It's all right, work your way backwards, right? Figure out where you want to be. And like Cody said, in 5, 10 years, whatever your timeline is, figure out what that looks like. And then find out from there what you need to do to get to that, whether it's a number in the bank, whether it's a number of properties that cash flow X per month, that's going to give you the cash flow that you need to live your life the way you want to live, to reach your goals, and work backwards. Because I think the mistake we make a lot of times is we don't think about that. We just think about I can do this and I'm going to do this forever, like you said, Cody, but you're not. Or even if you can, you could, but you don't have to. Right? You're doing it because you want to. And that just, I think, changes how you approach each deal, and it changes how you approach your business, because then it's not about paying the bills or making X this month. It becomes about how much wealth I'm building and accumulating so that I get to that end goal that is ultimately where I want to be. So that shift is... Go ahead.
And to be honest, not everybody has an end goal that they want to make millions and millions of dollars, right?
Absolutely.
A lot of people, an extra $5,000 a month goes a really freaking long way and completely changes their whole world, and it provides them the comfort of knowing they can spend more time with family and live and do the things that they're really interested in and live a lifestyle that makes them happy and fulfilled. And so, you know, that's what's cool about real estate. You could do it as, I want to do one house a month. I want to do one house every 2 months. I want to do one house every week, one house every day. Like, you can scale it or throttle it and do it once you understand the mechanics. And this is why I put together the fast track profit system, was because I wanted people to understand that if I could teach you the mechanics and give you the breakthroughs and put it in a system and a structure that is easy to follow, like paint by numbers, then, you know, you can pick and choose how far you want to take it.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, we have people in our community who they're doing this because they want to pay off their debt. And perhaps that's your magic number, is I want to do this for as long as I can pay off my debt. Some people are doing it because they need to, they don't have the money saved to put their kids through college. And so real estate is perhaps your college fund. It is whatever it is for you. I love that you said that, how it's not necessarily about wealth. If that's what it is for you, great, go for it. But pick what's truly moving you, and that's the thing you should be working towards. And if you get there and you realize, hey, I like this, I want to keep going, then set a new goal for yourself. But I love tying that to a real need or a real desire that you have presently in your life, because it's going to move you in a different way, and it's going to make things happen for you in an authentic way that's yours and not anyone else's. All right, I love this. Guys, we're talking to Cody Sperber, the Clever Investor. Send us your questions. We have we're having a great conversation, and I want to know what you guys are thinking and what questions you have for Cody. So just post them on the comments. And if you like what we've shared so far, like our video, love our video. We love seeing that. It keeps us moving. So I have a question here, Cody, from Aaron. Aaron says, we see tons of clever investor advertising. What is Cody still doing on the property buying acquisitions advertising? So are you doing any lead gen to generate leads for your own business? And tell us what's working for you today.
All right, my man, Aaron.
I love that.
Just kidding, Aaron. Yeah, we're aggressive. So I am lucky enough to have partnered with my two best friends. We are solely focused on rehabbing. We have maybe 10 projects going right now. Right now, here's what I am focused on, and hopefully you understand why I'm doing this, because the market is shifting. It's shifting. It's pulling back, and you need to be very smart about, if you're going to wholesale, fine, ramp that up, kick butt wholesaling. But if you're going to rehab or buy and hold, you got to buy them right now. I stopped doing all luxury. I've spec build a lot of big multi-million-dollar luxury homes. I closed one deal. I made over $1 million on one deal. And so that was a moment in time. That time has passed. I'm not focused on that. I don't want that risk or that liability if the market does shift too much more. But we're seeing it pull back. We're feeling it right now. Rehabbers are being very smart about how they acquire properties. This is why I teach rehabbing the way I do it, because it's really important that you keep your expenses as low as possible and you move as fast as possible right now. With that said, I'm acquiring properties only here in the Phoenix metro market. They have to be sub 250, right? So 250 grand or less on the acquisition. I want a minimum of $100,000 in potential spread, which by the time I do my rehabs and my closing and sales costs and staging and all that, I want to net a minimum of 10% on my money, right? And so I buy for, say, 200, it's worth 310, 320, 315. I buy for 200, I put 35 to 40 into it, I sell it, I end up walking away with 10% returns. All right? I can get in and out of these projects quickly. I only buy in areas that have lower days on market. So days on market have to be 60 days or less that I'm currently seeing, right? Because if and the market shift's not going to be like a cliff. It's going to be this pullback, a steady like sideways market, and then it's going to slowly start pulling back over like a year or a year and a half. And so right now we have an opportunity because real estate's cyclical. So if you're watching this live right now, the new year is going to pick back up. Right now we're in a little bit of a slump because it's the holiday season, and real estate traditionally is a little bit slower in the holidays, which is a good time to buy rehabs because you can get better deals, right? I love buying and loading up. I want 10 houses in the month of December that will come to market in April, which is the high season, right? And so if I can buy the cheaper houses, move them, I'm not adding additions. I still am potentially pulling permits, right? Like I don't want anything to slow my ability down, except for I didn't pull a permit on my last one and I got caught. That's another story. But you want to keep them moving quickly and, focus on at least a 10% return. And then I'm actually not even putting any of my own money into these deals. I have a private money lender. The private money lender funds 100% of the acquisition of the property and 100% of the rehab. And I pay no monthly payments. It is all ballooned at the end, principal plus interest back. And I pay them 12%. Okay, that's the structure of the deal.
In your private loans, Cody, just the 12%.
12%, baby, and it's great. I mean, you can't get that kind of return with your money in the bank. And I'm very smart. How our model is, I show them the comps. I show them why we're buying it. Like I just bought one in Tempe, which is about 4 miles away from ASU. It's a quick little turnover. I bought it for $204,000. It's worth $330,000, and he funded 100% of all of it. I have zero. How much is your cash on cash returns when you have zero money in the deal?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Infinite returns, right? Those are the best kinds of deals. The power of leverage. That's why I love real estate, is because when you could leverage, you could really leverage in real estate and make a killing. But you got to be smart because they want their money back and they want their returns, and you don't want to get stuck in a hard money loan or a private money loan for any real length of time. So you want to be able to turn that money over very quickly. But you can leverage other people's time, resources, connections, energy, and money. So hope that answered your question, Aaron. And we are buying properties through agents, pre-market, pocket listings, and pre-listings. We got about 30 or 40 agents that we've built relationships with that are hunting all the time for deals for us. We're buying off other wholesalers, but they know the game. We told the wholesalers, you're not going to make no $20,000 wholesale rip on us. I don't care how great the deal is. But it's got to be, you got to match our numbers. If we can't make a minimum of 10%, don't even bring us the deal. We're buying from bandit signs right now. At any one point in time, I have 600 to 700 to 1,000 bandit signs out in our target markets. We focus on the lower working class type neighborhoods, the sub 250 neighborhoods, which bandit signs don't get you in as much trouble when you're focusing on those neighborhoods. Best rule of thumb with bandit signs is don't put them out in luxury neighborhoods because you're going to piss off the residents and the cops are going to come and they're going to give you bandit sign fines. But for some reason, they don't care about bandit signs in Glendale, Arizona, and certain areas where it's, less police activity and less resources to spend on that kind of stuff. So we're buying a lot of properties off our bandit signs. On average, it takes me about 650 bandit signs to get a single deal. That's here in Arizona. In other markets, it might be 300 bandit signs to get one deal. But here in a competitive market like Arizona, where there's lots of bandit signs, it's about 600 to 700 bandit signs per single deal. But if it costs me $1 per sign, $1 per stake, and I have an intern go put it out, run those numbers. It's $1,200 to get one deal. If that one deal as a wholesale makes me an average of $12,500, would you trade $1,000 or $1,200 to make $12,500? Shake your head like this, right? Because that's the way the numbers work with bandit signs. So everybody's like, oh, bandit signs, that's like the oldest form of marketing. I don't want to hear about no guru teaching bandit signs. Like, don't do it and don't get a deal. It's one of many acquisition strategies that we happen to deploy. It's guerrilla marketing and it freaking works. We're also doing direct mail, right? Probates we focus on, and tax liens. Probates, tax liens, and what we do with absentee owner high equity is we do send our cheapest mail piece to them, right, in our target markets, but we pull that list, we skip trace the list that we're mailing this cheap postcard to, and then we dial for dollars, right? And so I have a guy, he's got a headset on, and he's calling the people we're direct mailing, and he's just dialing for dollars, right? Smiling and dialing. We're using the Mojo auto dialer. You could go to mojosells.com, get an auto dialer, take your mailing list, go to a place like datafinder.com, stick your mailing list in Data Finder, skip trace, slam that bad boy into the Mojo system, smile and dial, right? It's a ground and pound strategy. It's not easy. You need to know what to say. There's a very specific way to open those conversations to be effective. There's a specific script you want to read. There's specific questions you want to ask. There's a specific place you want to go to buy that data. I actually have a better way to skip trace than Data Finder. I'm just giving you a cheap cheap way to go do it. It would cost about 4 cents a lead. I got a better way that's even more gangster, which we teach our students. And so we smile and dial and we get deals that way. So I don't know. That answers your question, Aaron. I hope it does.
Yeah, and we had Kyle. I think that answered your question as well. Kenneth, hey Ken, I think that answered your question. A follow up to that, Cody, for all your bandit signs and your mailers, are you guys handling all that call volume? Do you have someone in your office doing that? Do you like to outsource that to a call center? How do you deal with that volume if you're putting so much stuff out?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to answer the phones, and you definitely don't want to use your phone number. So what we do is we get a burner phone number, right, that's not connected to us, and then we transfer that burner phone number to a call center that actually receives all the calls, right? And so there's a couple layers of anonymity. They don't know it's us.
Yeah,
it protects us from fines and stuff, but it also allows us to scale. They take all the fluffy calls, I'm a landscaper, I'm looking to get business. You get a lot of property managers, real estate agents, like people that aren't trying to actually sell will call you. And so they shield us from that. They fill out a lead intake form. If it passes that, it comes to us. And then the last thing we're doing, which I think you should always be doing, is I'm doing search engine optimization on 2 different platforms. I'm doing it for Google, right? And so I have a website, and all we're doing is optimizing that website. I have a company that I hired to help me with that. But if I didn't want to pay for that, I would do it myself. You should know how to do some basic SEO. And then I'm also focused on YouTube marketing. YouTube is the best platform out of all the social medias that you should be focusing on. If you're in real estate, you should be focusing on YouTube, right? And videography and video should be a core competency of yours. In the beginning, I was really scared to get out in front of the camera. You guys probably are watching me and like, dude, this guy's a great storyteller and he's so smooth and he's like navigating around. This is Cody Sperber 14 years later. Go back to the scared, don't know what to say, sweat everywhere, dry mouth, shaking uncontrollably. Like I was that guy that was mortified of public speaking. I was mortified to get on the phones. I didn't know which way was up and I was scared to look stupid. You got to become the person that you want to become to get the results that you want. And it took me a long time of trial and error and putting myself in those really tough, uncomfortable positions to get better at it. Now I have millions of social media followers. My YouTube channel is popping, like it's going crazy right now. I have over 40,000 subscribers. I've only been focused on it for about 2 months. I got 1.3 million followers on Instagram, a huge following on Facebook. And it is because I made video a core competency. And I got used to doing this. And even when nobody was around me nobody showed up. It's very awkward to talk to your phone when you're by yourself, right? You've been there. You know, it's like, hey guys, what's going on? Coach Sperber, Clever Investor here. Nobody's here. Cool. And so, you got to power through that and stay consistent. And what happens is over a long period of time, if you can get your messaging dialed down, and people who follow me on multiple platforms, they'll watch my structure and they'll figure out what I'm doing. I'll go live on Instagram and I'll do a conversation. I'll hang up. I'll go, man, that sucked. Man, Sperber, you sucked. You missed this, and this. And I'll go live on Facebook. It'll get better. And then when I'm really on point, because I've now done it twice, I'll go live on YouTube or I'll cut a YouTube video and it's fire. And everybody's like, dang, dude, you killed it. Well, I go on Instagram because Instagram disappears after 24 hours. Facebook, I could just delete. But YouTube, I want it to live forever. And so it's like I have this formula where you'll see me giving a pitch or a conversation or something. I'll be out in front of a property and I'll do it on one platform and I'll give a property tour. And then, I'll hang up and do it on another one and it'll get better. And by the third one, kill it. All of a sudden, cash buyers out of the woodworks and everybody wants to do business with me. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I like to say uncomfortable is a good place to be, right? If you're comfortable all the time, you're not growing. So put yourself in those situations that you need to be doing, things you need to be doing, places you need to be, even if they're uncomfortable at first, because the more you do it, the better you get at it and the more you grow. And then after a while, like Cody said, if you master it, it just becomes natural and second nature for you to do it. And then you move on to the next challenge. I love that. Follow up to your question about the market you invest in. So you're focused in your local market in Arizona. Have you tried expanding that and just investing in different markets? And on the flip side, for all you have students all over the country. Do you recommend to them that they focus on their local market, or do you have students in New Jersey investing in Arizona, or people in Texas investing in Arizona? How do you navigate that, Cody?
Yeah, great question. So for me, I started off focusing in my own backyard, which is the Phoenix metro market. As I grew my business, obviously you meet people at conferences or events and they're like, oh man, my market's wide open. And so I've done lots and lots of what we would call co-wholesaling in other markets. right? And I've done it everywhere, St. Louis, Kansas City, Alabama, Atlanta, New Jersey. I mean, we've been all over. I've probably done in maybe 10 or 15 different states. What's cool about wholesaling or any form of, creative real estate investing is that you can do it virtually, which is awesome. I did it in a very smart way because we always, have boots on the ground in that local area that we want to dominate. What I would do in order to figure out which markets I wanted to play in is I would send out test mailers in 6 different markets at a time. I'd send out 500 mailers in each market, and whichever ones we got the best response, that had the best KPIs, which is your key performance indicators, we would track all the results, and we would say, okay, St. Louis is hot, and we got a lot of good response. Now we got to figure out the logistics of the St. Louis market, how to comp properties, analyze deals, who's going to be our boots on the ground, who's going to go and get the contract signed, where do we close our deals, all that stuff. And so normally we would have either relationships or students that have graduated my program that have gone off to be super successful. They'd call us up and say, hey, man, if you generate the leads and process the calls, I'll be the boots on the ground and I'll help you sell the deals, which was our structure that we did. Or we would test the market, like I said, with some direct mail. And then we would find a local wholesaler there, somebody who knew the business, knew the language, and we partner up with them and do some co-wholesale deals. Absolutely love doing that. I think if you live in San Francisco, don't try to wholesale houses in San Francisco. Not happening, right? It's just not happening, right? Certain markets, it's not happening. You're not going to wholesale a deal in downtown New York. Not happening. But can you live there and be the acquisition side of the transaction for somebody in Texas? Absolutely. And that's why I love what you guys are doing. This is my favorite thing about Clever Investor is we built a real community. And we encourage people to build relationships, do deals, trade money, trade ideas, support each other. And that's my favorite thing about Clever is like this community has been born, and we have student leadership that we've developed, and we have all these amazing mentors and real estate experts cultivating this environment of deal flow. And we teach our students, you're not going to make money if you don't write a freaking offer. Stop overcomplicating it. Stop talking about it. Stop over-preparing, over-analyzing, overthinking, and sharing all your freaking dumb ideas with your friends. Stop it now. Get laser focused. Pick up the phone, make the calls, go to appointments, or make the offer over the phone and write offers. If you're not writing at minimum an offer a week, you're not going to make money in real estate, period.
That's right.
We're pushing people. If you're in that tough market, quit being a baby about it. Find another open market, pick a partner, and make it happen. I've even gone as far. When we were in St. Louis, I didn't know anybody in St. Louis when we went into that market. I've never been to St. Louis. I don't even know where St. Louis is. I just know they have a big arch, right? And so I'm like, cool. We sent out some test mailers, and it worked, so let's dominate this market. And I got a lady. She said, I don't have email. I don't have a computer. I don't do that. She was an older lady. She's like, I don't do that, but I want to sell my house. And we were buying it for like $25,000 or something like this. And it was worth like $55,000. And she just wanted out. And I didn't have any relationship or anybody to go out there and get this contract signed, and I couldn't email it to her. So I do what any clever investor does. No excuses. Figure it out, right? Figure it out. So I called and I ordered a pizza. And I told the guy, I'm going to pay you the biggest tip of your life, but you have to have an email because I'm sending you a damn contract. And when you deliver that pizza, you're going to get this contract signed, and then you're going to send it back to me. And I literally had the pizza man get the dang contract signed. So, you look at things and you're like, I go back to that idea. And I literally took my son to the hood in Phoenix. And I said, you see that guy? The reason he's homeless, and you can tell he was just obliterated, like drugged out. I said, that guy today will figure out a way to get drugs. He's homeless. He has no money. He'll figure out a damn way to get the drugs. That's the power of the mind when you put your mind to something. Now, he's focused on the wrong things. He's focused on accomplishing the wrong things, and it's destroying his future. you have an opportunity to have that same powerful mind, but focus on the right things. And in that situation, I had to come up with a solution or I was going to miss out on the money, miss out on the deal. And that's just not an option for me. Failure's not an option, and I will dominate. That's a mindset. And so the pizza guy did the job, and I hopefully next time I hear some story, I know I'm going to get it now. I used your pizza trick, got the deal signed.
Hey, it's creative real estate, right? You got to get creative. I love that. We have a question from Taylor. She's asking for you to share some trends that you're seeing for 2019 around you. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so the market's pulling back. The real estate, you're starting to see the articles, the real estate market's slow growth. Home builders are now giving away insane incentives again to get homes sold for all the new home builders in certain key markets. There's still a couple hot markets, but certain key markets, the home builders are now, I'll buy down your interest rate, take $100,000 off the house, like crazy stuff, incentivizing the agents for getting the deal sold. And when you see that, the market's turning. Days on market are starting to go up. It's cyclical, so we're even feeling it even more in November and December. Yeah. But here's the big trend, and this is what you need to be aware of. Even though real estate is future-proof, the way we do real estate is not future-proof. Open Door, OfferPad, these new competitors are moving into the market, and they got $1 billion, and they want all your wholesale deals, right? And they're picking strategic markets to develop their model. And it's a model of using technology to outmaneuver the wholesalers, right? And here's what I know to be true. Even though they're moving in, they will take market share, and that's all they're doing. They're throwing crazy money at market share. When you look at pay-per-click and you look at the Facebook ads and you look at the TV commercials, you now see their ads and not yours because they're spending more to outbid you to get the leads. They have in deep pockets. So you have to be smart and position yourself as the anti-OfferPad. The what's the other one I just said? OfferPad. Damn, I just said it. OfferPad. I'll come up with it. But anyway, and I don't want to bash on those companies because it's brilliant what they're doing. But they're basically a fancy hedge fund, right? They're like the new way hedge funds are sourcing deals. And so I think that people that are going to win and within the next 4 years need to evolve their wholesale marketing strategies and need to evolve their messaging. Be the mom and pop, not the big company. Be the high touch. I provide a deeper service, a relationship. It's not push a button cold. You don't get, you could still be competitive. And understand that maybe you're going to have to write an offer that's a little bit more for the property, but master the art of the renegotiation, right? Go in a little higher so you can get the deal, build the rapport, build a relationship, and then slowly backstep into the deal that you actually need, right? There's an art form to this renegotiation technique. There's also an art form in your marketing that you need to understand. You could be the anti-OfferPad and still dominate. High touch, we show up. And by the way, these competitors have been there forever. So it's not like wholesaling's going away. And I don't care what anybody says. It's never going to go away. But when Ugg Buys Ugly Houses came out, everybody freaked out. Oh, my God, their marketing is everywhere. They're going to take all the deals. They're still pumping out crazy money, and they still aren't getting all the deals, right? There's deal flow everywhere. My student, who's not OfferPad, not an Ugg Buy Home Investors franchisee, still doing 80 deals. He's the #1 wholesaler in town, and he's not either one of those people. So that's the trend I see, that these people are going to become more prevalent, and the ones that don't know how to position and master the art of renegotiation as wholesalers will slowly start dying off, which is going to make the ones that can stick through it even more profitable, right? So it's going to kill off some of your competition and be really good for you. Be smart about your rehabbing. Don't buy the expensive rehabs. Don't chase the market. Don't try to set the comp. In fact, try to go as fast as you can, keep your expenses low, and go the opposite direction. List it for 10 grand below everybody else. Get it sold, move on to the next thing. Keep your money in motion, right? Don't do any long-term plays longer than 6 months because we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm telling you right now, it could be one dumb tweet from the president and the whole thing shifts. Right. Yeah. And so we don't know which way things are going right now. But we are going to see the market kind of pick up January, February, and March, which is a good thing for the next immediate future. And as long as interest rate, which are going to keep pumping up, as long as interest rates don't go crazy and nothing major happens, it's probably going to be about a year and a half of like a sideways market with a slight decline. And we'll see what happens after that. Nobody has a crystal ball any further than 6 to 8 months down the road anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Cody. I think you have to adapt. You have to adapt to market conditions. You got to get creative. And I love what you said about really finding your differential. Like, figure out what's the thing that makes you stand out and get really good at that. Relationship is huge. So we work with a few wholesalers locally here in Houston that's exactly what they focus on. Is like, what can I do that most people can't? So I'm going to lead with that, right? Because that's going to be a selling point to a lot of people. So
yeah, I'll just add one last thing before we move on.
Yeah.
If somebody buys a wholesale deal from you, right? If they buy a wholesale deal from you, send them a certificate that says, good for $1,000 off your next transaction with me. Congratulations on your new investment. I hope you make a lot of money. This certificate is good for $1,000 off or $2,000 off of your next deal that you buy from me. This is a shift in the way you market and create relationships with people. There's always a hook that you can come up with to get them to come back to you to buy more deals, right? You could do this on the acquisition side. You could do this on the disposition side. So this is what we're talking about getting creative and setting yourself apart from your competition.
I love that. That's a great tip. All right. I always like to fit this one in, Cody, especially for someone like you who's mentoring people who you're graduating real estate investors every day, which is awesome. So